Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex here. Welcome back to another video, and today's video is a bit of a shocking one because it sort of came out of nowhere over the last couple of hours, but Daniel Ricciardo is going to be leaving Red Bull at the end of this season, sort of throwing open the driver market somewhat. So let's speak about firstly where Daniel Ricciardo could go. So there's two main options here. Of course other ones are available in the grid still. There's not that many people signed up definitely for next season yet, so there's obviously lots of options, but it looks like the main two are Renault, which seems to be the one that sort of came out of nowhere, and Ferrari, which is the one that's sort of been talked about for many years but probably still looks quite unlikely it's going to happen. So for next season, Ricciardo to Renault seems like the most plausible one, and a lot of the time, or right now this season, where Renault are generally in a race situation about a second a lap slower than Red Bull, maybe a bit less depending on the track, but they're quite far off Red Bull. It looks like a bit of a strange decision if that was to be the case, but when you think about it further, it makes a bit more and more sense. Renault have been a team since they came back in 2016 that have got better and better and better each season. Obviously they started in 2016 as one of the worst cars on the grid, and they've ended up in 2018 at least probably the fourth best car on the grid, behind just the main three teams, Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari. So that begs the question where they'll be at next season. Of course, with Ferrari possibly going to be signing up Raikkonen for another contract, and obviously Mercedes already signing up Hamilton and Bottas, it doesn't really look like there's going to be a better option than those two outside possibly Renault for next season for Daniel Ricciardo. Of course he's not going to be staying at Red Bull, that's the whole thing. He's said to Red Bull he's going to be moving away from them next year after joining them like 10 years ago in their junior program. He's now definitely not going to be racing for a Red Bull sponsored team next year. So it's interesting because Renault I think is a team that's definitely on the up. It's just whether they're going to be quick enough next year and maybe the year after that to be battling for championships. Obviously we know that team, that group of people are good enough to win championships. They did it with Fernando Alonso in 2005 and 2006, winning the Drivers' Championship. I think the Team's Championship in both those years as well. I'm not sure, maybe one of the years I think maybe McLaren or Ferrari won it, but they're a team that definitely can win and have won a lot of races in the past. Of course, over the last maybe 6 or 7 years, they've struggled. 2013 onwards, I guess, well, 2013 was a good year. 2014 onwards has been a bit of a struggle for that team, that base, whether that be Lotus or Renault. They've struggled, and this season, it looks like at some point during the season, they genuinely could be on the podium. It might be a bit lucky, but I think they probably may get a podium before the end of the season, whether that be Sainz or Hülkenberg. So I don't think it's a crazy decision. I think it's obviously a risk because you don't know what's going to happen with them. They could end up being a pretty bad car next year in comparison to Red Bull still. I mean, I'd say they're quite far off still, Red Bull. A lot of progress would need to be made for them to be on the same level as Red Bull for next year, but Red Bull are going to have the Honda power units. You don't know how that's going to work out. Yeah, okay, it could be good, but at the same time, it could go the wrong way like it did with McLaren. Like all the pressure of Red Bull going to be putting on Honda, it could look a bit awkward next year if they're not good. But it's hard to tell how good that Toro is with the Honda in the back. Of course, Gasly's been doing fantastic this year, racking up loads of points, so it looks like a sensible option to take the Honda power units, be like the main team with the Honda power unit Red Bull next year, but who knows how it's going to play out. But I think Daniel Ricciardo sort of realised he needs to be the main driver in a team, because right now, even though he's been doing better the last couple of seasons than Verstappen, just in general, if you look at championship points, I'm not saying pace and all that sort of stuff, just in terms of points sort of on the board, Ricciardo's been beating Verstappen over the last couple of seasons. I'm not saying that Ricciardo's a much better driver than Verstappen, it's just the amount of points on the board, it shows that Ricciardo's have more. So I feel like even though that's been the case, Verstappen's still been treated as the #1 driver in the team. Understandably, they want to keep Verstappen happy. He's going to be a world champion at some point in his career, and he's, what, 10 years younger nearly than Ricciardo, so of course they want to keep him happy because he's going to be their future star. He's going to be a bit like the Sebastian Vettel version 2 maybe at Red Bull, so I can understand why Ricciardo wants to leave, because he wants to be sort of the main figure in the team. But if he goes to Renault, who does he have as a teammate? Well, probably going to be Nico Hülkenberg by the looks of it. And Hülkenberg's a quick driver. Of course, he's never had a podium, but that's just a trivial thing. We all know how good of a driver he is. The fact he hasn't got a podium doesn't really mean much in terms of the grand scheme of things, because he's been a fantastic driver. And if he was in the right car, he'd be getting loads of podiums, victories, maybe even battling for a championship. So I think if he went to Renault, it'd be an interesting lineup there. Two very quick drivers. I think Ricciardo probably would still be shown as the #1 driver in the team, probably would still get treatment ahead of a Hulkenberg, but I think it'd be quite interesting. I don't think it might be quite as laid back as you'd think if he joined Renault for that reason. But if he joined Ferrari, that's the other option. Obviously his teammate would be Sebastian Vettel. This one seems less and less likely as the day goes on, really. I mean, obviously it'd be awesome if it did happen, but I feel like it probably won't do. I mean, who knows, the last couple of weeks, it's, you know, massive stuff could have changed, so who really knows. But from the last time, it sort of, you know, last time all the sad things happened at Ferrari, it looked like it's probably was going to be Leclerc, and then obviously these sad things happened. It looks more likely it's going to be Raikkonen. I mean, they could go with Ricciardo, but at the end of the day, surely they should be promoting from within Ferrari. Surely, if they wanted to bring a young driver through, I mean, I know Ricciardo's not ultra young, but he's definitely younger than Vettel in that regard. He's a few years younger than Vettel, so I feel like if once Ferrari wanted to bring a younger driver into the team, they should just do Leclerc. It makes much more sense. So, for me at least, it makes a bit more sense to promote the young driver in and maybe get Ricciardo in a couple of years' time when Vettel's retired. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like they should promote Leclerc from within the team rather than bring in Ricciardo, because that might stunt Leclerc's development. So, yeah, I think that's all that sort of grand scheme of things done. So, what's going to happen after that? Because obviously that triggers lots of other things to happen. Who's going to get the Red Bull seat? Well, it looks like most likely it would be Carlos Sainz. It would make most sense for it to be Carlos Sainz. He's been in, was in Toro Rosso for 3 years, was it? I think, was it 2015, 16, 17... 2018 obviously with Renault. It makes sense for him to now go to Red Bull. He's shown how quick he is, but then at the same time Gasly has shown how good he has been this season. His first year of Formula 1, yes, he's had Brendan Hartley as a teammate, which is kind of hard to gauge because Hartley was like 28 or whatever, and yeah, he's not really maybe an F1 driver really right now. If he'd been doing single seaters for the last 6 or 7 years, maybe he'd be sort of good enough for Formula 1 in that aspect. I hate to say he's not good enough for Formula 1, but when you look at the reality, he just hasn't scored the points anywhere near as much as Gasly, who's in his first season of Formula 1 as well, and Hartley is a much more experienced. So I don't think Formula 1's really suited Hartley, but we're not here to talk about that. But it doesn't look like Hartley will get the step up to Red Bull, but obviously who goes into Toro Rosso might be quite interesting as well. There's a few young drivers coming through the ranks. I doubt Hartley will stay. I mean, he's been okay in his first full season, but I don't think it's probably good enough to stay in Formula 1 for another year, to be perfectly honest. So we're being brutal like the Red Bull Young Drive program is. I think you've got to be brutal and say he probably hasn't been good enough for Formula 1 this year. And yeah, who would you put in? I mean, I'm trying to think. I guess Lando Norris might be an option, just because they might not want to put him in a McLaren straight away. And they might have wished they'd done it with Van Dorn as well. I don't know. I don't know whether they'd wished they'd put Van Dorn in because there wasn't really any seat options available for Van Dorn at the time. I guess Norris, it makes sense to just get him into a Formula 1 car. He's been doing really good in Formula 2 this year. I guess it would be good to just get him into a Formula 1 car. And other drivers that could race at Toro Rosso next year, I guess Dan Ticktum possibly, but I don't know whether he has the super license points. It's interesting because I don't actually know who has enough super license points or a super license to be able to get that seat. So Toro Rosso might be scrambling for drivers next year, which might be quite interesting. And they might have now wished that they hadn't sacked Kvyat. Just saying. So yeah, this is all a bit annoying by the way, because I made a video literally yesterday that I was going to upload tomorrow about the driver market and where I thought people would go. But now I'm going to have to reshoot that video. I kind of wish I'd uploaded that video when I made it. It's just how it goes, isn't it, unfortunately. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Please remember to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. It's not as professionally set up as normal, and this sort of news just like, damn, I need to set up quickly and just discuss my thoughts on this straight away. But yeah, more high quality content coming soon, not just me sitting. I've literally set my phone up on a fan. It might not look as bad as that, but it looks stupid as a setup right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Of course, leave your thoughts and opinions down below, whether you think Sainz will go to Red Bull or Gasly. Do you think Ricciardo will be going to Ferrari or Renault? And then who do you think will race at Toro Rosso next year? It's all a load of interesting things happening. I think it's going to be an interesting driver market over the next couple of weeks, especially if Fernando Alonso thinks that's enough time for me as well. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And yeah, see you guys around soon. Goodbye.